I want to talk about your late 30s and my experience of that, because I just turned 39 a few weeks ago, and next is 40. And I want to talk about the relation that when you start to get a little towards middle age, let's say that, and you start getting maybe some gray hairs coming in, man or woman, you'll see them popping out. I know I have, because my beard it's got to be 50% gray. And the sides of my hair. People have even said to me, they say, hey, you're getting some grays coming in there. And they say it to me in a way that, is it poking fun? Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Am I mature enough for this? Or, oh my God, am I getting old and I don't want to? All these questions pop up, and they can cause, if you don't have the answer right away, your mind, and you don't have the influences, or how, I guess a real, not grip, but a real surrendering of how life flows and how it works, especially being in this human body, which is a great gift because it's your temple. But you might develop insecurity, or maybe you're saying, is this a bad thing? But doesn't the society we live in, especially the Western society, has brainwashed us our whole lives of TV and television and magazines and social media to try to say that not having gray hairs or being more youthful or having this perfect body, this chiseled body, which is completely unrealistic. And there are some people that are able to do that are total health and nutrition and workout connoisseurs, and that's awesome. Everybody has their own gift, but anything that has to be forced, if you're trying to force yourself to be perfect, it's a really, really long, hard, painful road that it comes with a lot of self-inflicted punishment and unnecessary suffering that you don't deserve. And I think that getting a little older now, because I can talk about this because I spent quite some time resisting it. I'm actually embarrassed to admit that. So I had a really bad depression, hang with me here, in 2017. And what was I, 35 or something? No, 33. Anyways, and the depression was so bad because basically a bunch of people that I knew or had loved, a lot of people died in like a 2-year period, one after another and it really just ripped me apart and broke me down, and I was really depressed, and then questioning what is like the sanctity of my own life. You might even start to get survivor's guilt, I think it's called. Yeah. And I'm not trying to be negative here. I just want to say that. So my hair went gray early when I came out of this depression, and I'm totally fine. It was a great learning lesson, and I learned that you actually I can make a whole nother talk about this, but you can I'll just say in short, you can go in depression, but sometimes, unless you have like a real serious problem, you don't have to stay there. You're not aware that you might be semi-consciously choosing to stay there because you're getting some secondary emotional payoff, or it's allowing you to not face the next chapter of your life or let go of the previous chapter. Maybe life is telling you it's time to evolve and move on, and you're clinging to these old ideals and these old identities, and that's why you go into like a depression, because it's a form of dying. Like you see when, like, I think it's a praying mantis, so these insects that sheathe off, like they climb out of their entire it looks like a carcass there, right? And they're fresh and new, and they've evolved, and they can't stay in that anymore, right? I have old t-shirts that I still wear all the time. My wife is always like, why are you wearing that old USA shirt, or that shirt that says something camping or something? Like, these just shirts cheap shirts I've picked up over time. And I have beautiful clothes in my club. I have clothes with the tag still on it. It's like, because I say I don't want to ruin my nice clothes if we're not going anywhere special. I don't care how I look. I don't care. And she's like, she can never wrap her head around that. And I'm starting to see now. I said, you know what? Today I'm going to put on a nice pair of my newer jeans and a nice shirt and some nice shoes. And I always wear a baseball hat or a cap. I have a brand new hat. I'm going to wear that. Put on deodorant. Of course I wear deodorant every day. but in Cologne. So I'm working from home today, and I wanted to make this talk for you. I wanted to say that you are worthy. And if you have some gray hairs coming in, this can be a wonderful thing. If you let go and let God and realize you're in your late 30s, everything's going to be okay, because this is going to be the best chapter of your life now. And it's going to get even better. Why would you want to not go into that? And I've noticed that I have some grays. People are responding to me different that are adults. Younger people say you got some grays coming in, but people that are a little older, just a little bit of gray hair, and this is going to sound a little funny. There might have been a time in your life, I know there was, even into my 20s, where I felt like, early 20s, I felt like, how come I'm not getting treated like an adult, like the other adults? I'm still getting treated as a kid. And then sometime around the age of 25, I started my landscaping business. No, this was 28. Wow, I was a grown-ass man. I started a landscaping business, and I had one of my clients, I heard behind my back that he had referred to me as a kid, the landscaping kid. And this was amazing to me, because I got mad at first. I go, why is this client referring to me as a kid? I'm a grown man. And then I realized I had to face the fact that because he referred to me like a kid, because he perceived me as a kid, because I must be carrying myself like a kid. And maybe I perceive myself as a kid, and I'm acting like a kid because that's who I see myself as. It's like this whole identity thing, right? And that day was the first step. I'm not saying I completely changed the next morning when I woke up, but that was the first step in the direction towards me perceiving myself as a man, a full-grown man, even though I was already like 27, 28, right? Maybe I'm a late bloomer, but it's not easy for a guy in his 20s to perceive himself, I'm talking about guys here, as a mature, masculine man. It doesn't have to be masculine. Like, I know where we're at here in 2022, so basically, if you just talk about energy, there can be masculine and feminine consciousness in all beings, right? That's what makes the whole universe work, right? So, but I'm just saying, for myself, I believe I have a masculine core. On the outside, I'm not this masculine guy who talks real deep, and I'm just real directed, like freaking, you know who Jocko Willink is? He's like this Marine Corps guy, and he's on YouTube. Check him out. He's phenomenal. He talks about leadership, and he's got a best-selling book, and the guy's done huge things. But I think, like, so you start thinking about your identity. So does a man who's in his who's coming into becoming a full-blown man, what is the difference? And I think that if you just realize you're not a kid anymore, and you are a grown man, and you accept that, and you embrace that, and you exhale, and you say, you know what? I am a grown man. I'm responsible for my own decisions. I have my own life. Tony Robbins said something amazing one time when he became this, like, multi-millionaire guru who helped all these people in a good way, all the good stuff. He said, I built this motherfucker. Like, and he was serious. He built himself to be that way. Think about that. Imagine your life as you can mold and sculpt yourself into all the great things, and you can chisel away all the fat and all the things that, I don't mean actual physical fat, I mean all the unnecessary old baggage and stuff that alienates you from having true awareness and being wealthy holistically and living a happy, healthy. There's an amazing book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Check it out. It's phenomenal. I follow him on Instagram too. He writes really profound things. Same as like Eckhart Tolle too. when you are in your 30s, and I don't know, it's probably going to get better in the 40s and better in the 50s and better in the 60s. When you become an old man, those are supposed to be your golden years, where you have projects that are passion projects, or maybe you're retired, but you are doing and living life on your terms, and you're healthy and you're vibrant. Imagine having a cottage up north, or a place in Florida, or maybe a trips you go on, or so whatever. You could just be sitting around the house reading a book, or sitting on your patio being an old man reading a book. My grandpa used to take out a pocket knife and carve an apple, and he'd sit out on the front porch, and there'd be birds, and he would whistle and carve an apple and sing old country songs. And like, this guy was incredible. He was like a World War II veteran, and he seemed happy. Think about that. Or are you going to grow up to be a bitter old man? I'm serious, because you won't even realize it's happened to you. Have you ever felt bitter? Yeah. Think about your life as though time and space doesn't exist. You are an old man now, and you're still a kid. You're everything at once. So how do you go quantum? Not escape, but transcend the limitations of this third density physical life of just like thinking that you're freaking 26 and say, I am here now. Because when you're 50, you're going to be here now. When you're 60, you're going to be here now. When you're 80, hopefully, or 90, hopefully, you're going to be here now. You'll just physically be an old man. But consciousness is not bound by space and time. What I mean is consciousness is not linear. It's quantum. It's infinite. It's constant. It's not trapped in packets of time like the body is. It's vibrating in a different dimension. It's vibrating in a higher density, your consciousness, because as you definitely can't see it and feel it, just like radio waves, just like microwave, just like internet waves, whatever. You can't grab frequency with your hand, but it's there. It's just vibrating and oscillating in a dimension that's tuned higher. I would assume higher, because lower is more physical here. And the body is in some type of third density, quantum holographic biological form of consciousness, like plants behind me, like your physical body, my dogs and pets. And then you move down to an even lower density of consciousness, and you move that to like rocks. Fish are very conscious. All living things and all sentient beings. But if you move down to like your door, well, it actually was a tree or something that's wood. It was alive, but physical things like soil and dirt and rocks. I would even argue that edifices like buildings are a form of consciousness, because they have been edificed out of the imagination and consciousness of humans. Have built pyramids, automobiles, computers. A computer is a higher form of consciousness, even though it's not. It's artificial consciousness that helps us, and we've created this. But where did all this come from? If that which is seen does not come from that which does appear, then how the hell did men look around at just like rocks and dirt and valleys and streams and build freaking quantum computers and Teslas and homes and big screen TVs? This is insane. It's not insane. It just was pulled out of a higher density. It was pulled out of a higher frequency and transcended down somehow and manifested into the physical through thoughts. Where are thoughts coming from? The ether, which is a higher vibration. So all I'm getting at is, when you realize that's who you are, and you just are here now, the body just becomes this temple that is a tool that allows you to navigate through this primordial soup, primordial soup, what is this thing that we're in right now that we're navigating through? The body allows you to, just like a fish has to be born a fish and then in the water, like in a stream. We have fish in an aquarium, and I'm learning about fish, and it's an amazing adventure. I love our fish. But they have to be fish with gills and a fishy body in order to swim in liquid. Humans can't do that because we survive off oxygen. So that it's consciousness, and it's evolving at all times. The reason I'm saying this is that this body is a vehicle for you to navigate. I mean, you literally can go outside and eat grass, and you can eat fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and berries and, unfortunately, Big Macs and Quarter Pounders and French fries, and you can put all this trash into this. Eat and consume and drink the water and inhale the oxygen, and your body processes it all and keeps this artificially intelligent biological being, this entity. You can run and jump and type and do it, but you have to maintain it and take care of it. It's a vessel. It's like a car. You wash it and change the oil and clean it out and take. Unfortunately, humans, we don't do that. Humans take drugs and do alcohol and eat pizza and Big Macs, and somehow I know people that do that, and they live to be 80 and 90, right? I'm not trying to encourage that behavior. I'm encouraging consciousness. Excuse me. But a very important thing is not being so attached to your physical body and that just one single density of consciousness of living this physical body in life. Because you are so much more. You are so infinite. And so therefore, a couple gray hairs on your head shouldn't have you stumped for too long. Because if you're too stumped about it and upset about it, then that just means that you're just resisting evolution. And evolution is evolution. And embrace it. It's awesome. Everything's going to be okay. One last thing I want to say before I go is that sometimes we think as we get older, we need to get more and more and more and more successful and acquire more things and have more. And if you don't, then you are not worthy. You know, the highest level of worthiness you can be is what you give and what you contribute. I know a man who was not figuratively, literally broke for years. And the man spent a lot of time configuring his consciousness. And he spent many years getting his act together internally. And the entire time, he was consciously one of the wealthiest men I've ever met in my entire life, a true mentor of mine. And I've watched this man get his interior space in life so dialed in that now he is doing the right things for the right reasons. And now materialistic wealth is just flowing into his life because he stayed the right path the entire time. And it's not just because of that, because there has to be some type of structure to monetize. Very important. That's a totally different talk. Monetizing, building structures and monetizing them so you can have materialistic abundance. But now materialistic wealth doesn't have a choice but to flow into this man's existence because he has his consciousness and his values and his priorities are so incredibly organized that, like iron filings to a magnet, money is just leaning in his direction, and he's like, it's just showing up. This is real. And that's true abundance right there. Very proud of this guy. And I'm learning every day. And it's influencing me to understand that you might feel a tendency to an inclination, what is the word? Temptation to sell out as you get older because you're afraid. And so what I mean is sell out on your dreams and go just do what's convenient for money because you feel like you don't want to retire broke. But if you realize how much time you actually have and how young you are and how not going for it and going for your dreams and embracing you getting older as wisdom and maturity that will allow you to get your dreams even faster. In the ever and unfolding eternal now, there's unlimited opportunity all around you, but you're so fucking trapped in psychological time. You're so trapped in the past and why things might not work, or the rug's going to get pulled out from you, that you can't even let go of that bullshit for a second to just wake the fuck up and realize that you are crushing it right now. And everything that you want is already in your life. Even if it hasn't materialisted physically, it literally could just vibrate in your life in like 2 seconds because you choose. You come from a place of conscious choosing. You are incredibly wealthy if you would just pick your head up and see it. And you are worthy. You're incredibly worthy. You're totally worthy of all of it. It's like unworthiness is almost like feeling unworthy. I'm thinking about like mental health issue stuff now. Like that's like just bad programming. Feeling unworthy. So you think unworthy, and then you feel it in your body, and you can't get over this. But then you're afraid if you feel worthy, you feel guilty, like you might be doing something wrong. Like, who am I allowed to go and be the person who eats the last piece of pizza or takes the first piece of pizza? Constantly questioning everything around you and untrust, like an abandoned orphan, afraid that any minute you're going to just get kicked out for not being good enough. Or you will be extricated, you'll be kicked out of the group, or you will be shamed and told that you were bad and wrong just because you want a glass of juice. I don't know. Just this old stuff can creep up into our adulthood to now where we this is why people stay stuck in dead-end jobs they hate, and why they don't move into entrepreneurship, because they're afraid of taking on all this responsibility when they don't have their shit themselves. They don't even know how to lead themselves, and they're going to take responsibility for a business and employees and all these clients. It's a lot of work. And then if you don't have yourself figured out and how to manage your own personal time and space and mental health, then you might overcompensate by becoming a workaholic to avoid yourself. And then you fail either way, and you might become materialistically successful and have a ton of clients and a successful business, but your life is also failing because you're not successful on the inside and inside of your household and inside of your psychology. Very, very important distinction to make, because the world that we're in that's over-identified with ego has conditioned us and lied to us that if you have a Range Rover or a big house or a Cadillac, or you have materialistic things, then therefore you are worthy. Right? It doesn't matter. We've been taught this bullshit, and it's a lie. It's a lie. There are people that live in small homes, in middle-class neighborhoods, even lower-class neighborhoods, that have beautiful, successful lives and successful families, and they live a holistic life, and they're happy, and they treat other people with respect and just all the good things that money could never buy. I'm not just saying this is for real. This is a fact. Right? I stand on this fact. I'm imploring you to listen to me. That true wealth, just having materialistic things and money, is one small sliver of wealth. Now, it helps a lot of other things, yes, and I believe that like oxygen, you must have some form of materialistic, you already know where I'm going with that, but you have to accept that if you have, fingers and toes and breath in your lungs, and you have health, and you can get up, and you can shower and bathe yourself, and have friendships, and a marriage, and a relationship with yourself, and you can just do all the things without being totally inhibited, you have a form of amazing wealth. Because go look at somebody who's totally trapped in a wheelchair, which there are people that are in wheelchairs that are also feel very free and abundant and healthy as well. Even though they have a disability, they have overcome it, and they are stronger than us in some ways. And my hat goes off to anybody who has a disability. My hat goes off with respect and admiration to anybody who is disabled. in any way, and surrenders and overcomes it, because that's true. Those are the real heroes to me. And sadly, that some of these people they're not big pop stars and have all huge social media accounts. There's this very, very, very inspiring woman on YouTube. What was her name? I was watching her videos with my wife the other day. She's I can't think of her, but she basically was born with a disability, and she has overcome it in such a profound way, in such a transparent, authentic way, that people all over YouTube, she's got millions of views on her videos, and it's so inspiring to watch, because when you see her talk, you're like, that is strength right there. Why would I think bad thoughts about myself when this person has overcome all this? It's just true inspiration, and the hand of God, I believe, is in her life. And I think, how can you look at things that you've overcome in your life, instead of being worried about a couple gray hairs or how you're not good enough or you're unworthy? How can you take the gifts and callings that God has given you and things that you overcame in your life and use that as a testimony and as a story to encourage other people, to congratulate them, to let them know when they're doing a good job, to find them doing things right? How can you give this gift back to humanity and the world, and make your Creator proud by making the world a much better place? And when you leave, the good deeds that you've done and the good intentions and the great accomplishments, although sometimes small, could be things that have planted seeds for your children's 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 children will live a better life, because the contribution that you've given to just be a good person. You don't have to be rich or famous or anything. You can literally just be at peace and influence others around you to be at peace, which will stop arguments and fighting and prevent hatred, and just peace is higher in vibration than even love. Peace is the highest vibration. It's been measured. Read Dr. David R. Hawkins' Power versus Force. And when you're at peace and you transmit peace, others around you will feel calmer, and then their day will be calmer, and then maybe when they're driving, they'll smile and they will see the trees and the flowers and people, and it could literally prevent a car accident that could have happened just because one person was driving in traffic and they had so much peace in their heart that their vehicle was like a transmitter, like an antenna of peace. And just for some reason, for that minute, those 7 cars driving in that little group, everybody was in harmony and peace. They didn't even pick up on it. Boom. Some car accident didn't happen because the person in the 6th car maybe was like a butterfly effect. They had a really, really, really bad morning, and they were feeling very unworthy, and they were neurotic, and maybe they were looking at their phone repeatedly and in an argument with their spouse or something, and who knows? And they could have caused a car accident that morning that ended the lives of 3 people. I'm serious. But because you had peace in your heart, and you just smiled at somebody. And I'm saying, like, this is not an ego thing, like, you saved these people. Like, it could, but let's use you as an example, because I want you to take this serious. Because you have peace in your heart, and you practice peace, you just saw someone in traffic, and you had a very calm, half smile on your face, just chilling. And they looked at you. You didn't even have to look them in the eyes. Maybe you didn't even know. They just looked over at you and saw you at the red light. And they saw that you were relaxed and peaceful, like the inside of your car or your truck was a sanctuary. And because they witnessed that, maybe they thought, you know what, maybe it's not so bad. They see other people that are calm and relaxed, other gazelles that are out there that aren't all afraid that the lion is coming, right? And they felt peaceful in that moment, and they put their phone down, and they just took a breath and had a little bit of peace, a moment for themselves, and they didn't cause the car accident. And now entire people's family trees, millions and millions of people and billions of people that you've never ever met and never ever will meet after you're dead and gone, that there will be a little kid one day, his name is Joey. Joey will grow up, and he will I was going to say he'll become a famous baseball player, but Joey could just end up just working at some IT place, but then he has a great life, and like, you're like, well, you never know. Joey could grow up to be a mass murderer, and it's all your fault because you smiled at some lady saw you smiling in traffic 74 years ago. It's your fault. No. See what I just did right there? That joke? What I'm saying is, when you are at peace, that type of stuff can't even exist. It can't. Because everything exposed to the light becomes light. So if you are in a place of love and harmony and peace, you are indemnified. You are exonerated. You know why? Because you feel the vibration that if somebody else is negative or bad behavior, right? As I talk about this, I feel resistance because I have some issues with this myself. I'm growing through. Somebody else's negative behavior doesn't have to affect you, and you just being at peace can be a very hard place to be, because from a place of peace, you can't fight with them anymore. There's nothing left to fight, and now they're you're faced to grow up in responsibility and energetically look in the mirror, which could cause the end of the friendship, the end of the relationship. The controller protector issues that you have of keeping things the same, or they have, or something, now you have to face the light. And like a movie, imagine like when everybody just stops and faces the light. And then like imagine like Jesus, like the horrible thing's going to happen, the Armageddon, and then the I'm just making up a movie in my head, right? But then all of a sudden the believers in that moment just drop everything. Everybody was running for their lives, and all of a sudden, like, it shows like 74 people just stop and drop everything and look up, and their spirits come out of their bodies and they just ascend into the light. They've just literally left that situation energetically because it vibrates. Peace and love vibrate at a place so much higher than a petty argument or disagreement about values that are old baggage value identities that no longer even serve you or the other person or the relationship, and you're just holding on out of fear just because it feels comfortable. Just because it feels comfortable doesn't mean it's good for you at all, or the other person. Sometimes a period or a season of discomfort might be what's necessary for you to evolve and move on, and you can and you will. Man, my business line is ringing. I gotta go.